Hate, a film by actor-director Mathieu Kassovitz, is not your typical French film. It is a contemporary urban drama set in a desolate Paris housing project. The story of 24 hours in the lives of three youths who live there. The film sparked controversy in France and is now being brought to the United States with the help of actor-director Jodie Foster as its presenter. Kassovitz's previous film, Café au Lait, brought him comparisons to Spike Lee and Woody Allen, and Hate won him the Best Director Award at the Cannes Film Festival. I'm pleased to have Mathieu Kassovitz and Jodie Foster here to talk about this film. Welcome. Great to have you here. Thank you. Tell me about the making of the film, how you were there at this demonstration, and how it resulted in this film for you.
The thing is, it started when Makome, a young kid, was 17 years old and he got shot by a cop point blank in a police precinct, and he was handcuffed, in the head. And there was, this small demonstration by 300 people outside the police precinct, like 2 hours after that event. And I was there. Nothing violent happened till the cops tried to evacuate the place, and after there was a riot, but it was like 300, 500 people max, And after that, I said it's incredible because they have no respect for the people. They have no respect for the dead. The policemen had, and I said, how can you, when you're 17 years old, wake up in the morning and get killed in the evening, even if you maybe stole a car? I don't know what he did. But it's not enough. It's not something that can happen. So I said I want to do something about it.
And what made you decide to make a movie?
Because I'm a director.
That's what you do. That's how you. As she said, after she was at Yale, how I express myself is through film.
Yeah, and it's when you're lucky enough to express yourself, you can, if you can add social, political issues to what you're doing, it's a good thing, I think.
So you tell this story, 24 hours, through three characters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who are the three characters?
Three characters are Vince, Said, and Hubert. That's a Jewish guy, white, black, African, and Arab from Morocco. And they stick together. They live in a project around Paris. Projects in France are in the suburbs. It's different from here. And the suburbs and the projects are all around the big cities. So they are from that project, and you have to understand that in Paris or in France, everybody's mixed together. We don't have only 100% black projects or things like what's happening in Brooklyn or in the Bronx. It's completely different. But the thing is, it's them against the system and against the police, and they are being ghettoized completely. From Paris, from the big cities. So I follow them 24 hours, and they find, after a riot that happened in their projects, they find a cop's gun. And in France, it's, just to explain things.
They find a cop's gun?
They find a cop's gun, and in France it's a big deal because we have gun control. We don't find guns that easy. It's not like in the United States. So it's 24 hours of these three guys and the gun with the fourth character, and they want to kill a cop if one of their friends who was injured by the cops dies.
So it rushes to a dramatic conclusion.
So yes.
All right. Take a look at this clip, because this shows you a sequence from Hate. Here it is.
C'est ça. On va essayer. Espèce de petite baltringue. Tu m'adresses plus la parole, tu m'as bien compris, hein? C'est bon. Tu lui serres la main, toi?
Et alors? Je lui serre la main, il a toujours été réglo avec moi.
Ok, arrête de réglo, là, c'est un schmitt, tu lui serres pas la main, voilà.
Et alors? Vas-y, tire-lui une balle, toi, si tu veux. Moi, tant qu'il y va, je lui serre la main. T'es relou avec ces conneries, là.
Et toi, t'es inconscient, putain, tu parlais quoi? T'inquiète pas,
je savais, là, de manière. T'étais trop bizarre à l'hôpital, vas-y, fais voir.
Arrête, vas-y, reste tranquille.
Vas-y, fais voir,
arrête,
tu fais. Vas-y, fais voir.
Arrête, je te dis. Et tu nous as même pas prévenu?
Ouais, je croyais que tu voulais pas entendre parler, toi.
Mais parce que je te croyais pas aussi teubé pour le garder sur toi.
Mais ça va, je suis un grand garçon, t'arrêtes de me faire la morale, toi, un peu, ou quoi?
La morale, c'est quoi? Je te dis.
Vas-y, arrête, putain, arrête.
Pourquoi tu joues les chevaux? Parce que t'as un calife sur toi? Mais je vais te piquer, moi, putain.
Tu fais quoi, toi? Arrête, tu perds, putain. Vas-y, viens, on va manger un sandwich, là, qu'est-ce que tu fais, là?
Ferme ta gueule, toi.
C'est ça, casse-toi. Vas-y, arrête, tu perds, qu'est-ce que tu fais, viens. Viens, arrête.
Laisse-le partir.
Arrête, putain, vas-y, arrête, vas-y, viens.
Vas-y, lâche-moi.
Mais qu'est-ce qui lui arrive à Hubert en ce moment là?
Laisse tomber, il réfléchit trop ce connard.
So you take it to Cannes and you win Best Director.
Yeah, they made me win.
How did they make you win?
They had, yeah, just the competition.
All right. So you won.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And then what happened, the film was released in Paris and it was a biggest success of the year, and you know, because of the film, because of Cannes, and because of the content of the film. Because first time that you see a different side of Paris, different side of this
It's not
kind
your
of
basic
series.
romantic love story.
It's not, no, it's not.
How'd you get involved?
Well, simple fact, I had known Mathieu's work. I knew Café au Lait very well and had just seen the film, and we were entering in on trying to develop another screenplay with my company, with Mathieu, as a filmmaker.
Egg Productions here?
Egg Pictures, yes.
Yeah, Egg
and he said, well, by the way, you know, I have a new film coming out. You better see it because, you know, you may not like me afterwards. And I had a screening of Haine and completely fell in love with the movie, and just, I was so moved by it and so rocketed by it that I just, I wanted to be a part of the process and at least help some people in the United States to be aware, not only of the film, of course, but to be aware that there is a different side of France that is, in some cases, tragically and blissfully very influenced by American culture.
And what's the influence here of American culture is the urban violence, is the
His images
use
of
the
media
gun,
violence
it's
and
a
how
sense of violence and the impact of media.
Certainly, I mean, you know, this is a global culture now, and America has really, in terms of media, has really taken over the airwaves all over the world. I don't think we really realize the impact of that. You know, everybody sees Schwarzenegger movies and they wear Nike clothing, and they, you know, there's a whole American consciousness that is now very much a part of the European vision of things. And it's interesting to see that impact on a new generation of French people.
But are you saying then that this film, in a sense, what he's done here is a reflection of the kinds of films that were like Boys in the Hood and those kinds of urban violence films that were being made, that's what...
Well, you know, certainly
there?
Mathieu would have to talk about that. I would say that, you know, Mathieu's been influenced by all the movies that he's seen in his life, certainly the way I have as a filmmaker, whether it be Scorsese or Spielberg or, you know, the French movies from the 40s, for example. He's living in the world today, and this film talks about France today. It's not talking about Brooklyn. It really is discussing what is happening in France in a true and sincere way with these people. And it is shocking to me that so many French movies just don't relate to any of that.
But as soon as you say that, there were a number of films that came out about the same time your film came out in France that dealt with the same subject matter, yes?
Yes, exactly. It's
an explosion of...
Yeah, I think it's normal because, you know, everybody's being fed up with what's happening. It was
tired of romance, are they?
Not tired of romance, but fed up with the politic and the social problems that we have.
Or fed up with the absence of an exploration of reality.
Exactly, and especially I think that the directors who did these films were, you know, they are between 25 and 30. Before they couldn't do such a film because they were too young, and now it's new generation of directors with new problems, new ideas, it's a different thing. So so these people are going to make the new French cinema like Spike Lee or John Singleton did in the United States.
Much has been said in things that are written about you about Spike Lee. You know, was
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Anticipate the question.
No, Spike Lee was a big influence on me because, you know, I've been listening to rap music since 1930.
You were not even a gleam in your father's eye.
1983, and you know, it's been a long time. So when I saw Spike Lee's films, of course, I was pleased. He was the first director who did films about things that I liked.
Yeah.
So he was a big influence on me, like Scorsese, like a lot of people.
Black and white.
Black and white.
Except for.
Black and white, except for
it's black and white. Why did you choose?
Why black and white? Because it adds drama to whatever you say, you know, to whatever you show. It's like Jim Jarmusch's films. When you see in black and white, you can make pure comedy. If you show it in black and white, it's what you're saying to the audience. Be careful because you're not watching a simple comedy. It adds something else. It adds drama. Be careful because you're going to see something is going bad. You know.
Yeah. What was it about, other than the fact that it was a different part of France that you saw, and it was more contemporary, more real? Right. What else attracted you to this to make you want to do more than simply call up your friend and say you did a hell of a job?
No, well, more than anything else, I was just moved by the people and by what they went through. And by the end, I was rooting for them, and I wanted them to live because I knew them intimately. And that is the sort of universal beauty of films, is that they are about coming to know people and connecting with them. And then, in some ways, having their lives be a part of your life. I was just really moved by this film. I thought that, most importantly for me, that it took an issue that is a very tough, dramatic issue, urban violence, urban unrest, the anxiety of being 18 years old and knowing something bad's going to happen, but you don't know what it is. And instead of just exploring the behavior in a way that's exploitative, it's a very, very maturely, very well-wrought, well-written film that allows the ending to be all about love and not about hate. I think that's the irony of the movie itself. That the
it's
title,
about love and not about hate, even though was the title controversial for you? I mean, in a sense, or was it an obvious choice?
The choice was obvious. What the controversial was because you couldn't go and see a mayor from any city and say, can I go and shoot a film called Hate in your neighborhood?
Oh, so you had to change the name, in fact, when you went to the... What was the town that you used?
Chanteloup-les-Vignes. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yeah.
We had to change the name, of course, during the shooting. It's a normal thing. And but Hate, for me, it's the only way to you know, the best traduction, the best resume now.
Summary.
Summary of the film.
Summary, yeah.
But it's not only about hate. It's hate between a kind of people and the police, but there is love between them, between these three characters and between the people who live in the project. So it could have been called Love too, but it would have been different.
Yeah. Your parents, your father is what?
My father is a very, very good man.
No,
he's a director.
What does he do?
He's a director.
He's a film director.
A film director, yeah.
And his politics and his ideas, or ideas that you were attracted to?
It was it wasn't politic, but you know, he did films in Nicaragua in 1965, 1968. So he was involved
Covering
in
the Sandinistas.
Yes, but not as a you know, he was making film there as a pure documentary, you know, but it was only small things. He didn't want to make a manifesto, things like that. You know.
Is your mother an artist or creative?
She was an editor.
She was an editor.
Yeah. That's part of creation too.
And what do you do for the film? I mean, as I said, presenter. What does that mean?
Well, it's an interesting task. For me, my name helps people know that that this is a movie to go see, I guess, that's serious and should be taken seriously. But also, my company is under the umbrella of Polygram Pictures and Polygram Entertainment, and this film is being distributed by Gramercy, which is also an offshoot of Polygram. So we sort of oversee the release and make sure that that things get taken care of, being that Mathieu is far away, and that the film is well supported and that people are aware of it as much as we possibly can.
Do you stay in France, or do you come to America because of the impact that American films have around the world?
As a director, I'd love to make film here, but it depends on what film it is. It depends on, you know, the state of mind. What you want to do here, it's different, you know. I know. I'm very lucky to find Jodie Foster because she's part French and she has different, you know, state of mind about.
You're part French?
No,
just
not
in
my
in your soul.
Yeah,
no,
just in my halo.
Soul, exactly. And she, you know, she really understands the way I want to work, and she offered me a very good thing. I hope it's going to work out.
She showed you a very good thing.
She showed me
She showed all of us a very good thing.
Exactly. A lot of intelligence.
You remember that time I was once interviewing you, and I got on some very sensitive ground, and she said to me, I respect you a lot, I admire your work, but if you ask me one more question along that line, there's only one person at the table.
Yes, I think I remember that.
And always use that as an example of if people say, you know, it's the Jodie Foster example. There is about you. You started when you were 3 doing this, whatever it was, what was it?
Coppertone.
Coppertone.
Yes.
You know, and then by the time you were 10 or 12, you worked with Scorsese, and Alice Doesn't Live Anymore when you were 10. At 12, you were with Scorsese doing Taxi Driver, yes?
Yes.
There is this sense that you have, in some precocious way, had an internal clock that told you who you were, gave you a certain command. made you somehow awesome?
Boy, I don't know about
without
that.
losing, no, you do know, without losing all that thing that you know, makes you so enticing to people and compelling to people.
Well, there's a lot of things.
Don't you disagree with that?
You know, I feel very lucky to be chosen by Jodie Foster because of that. You know?
Because of what I just said.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me, is that right? I mean,
Well,
help us understand.
There are a lot
Seriously.
of things that I really am bad at, and that I will always be bad at. And there were a lot of, you know,
Well,
there are
name
parts of my personality that I just have not grown into, or that you know, that I'm not well versed in. But there was a prodigiousness to my life as a youngster, and that was that for some reason I was able to understand emotionally experiences that I could not possibly understand, so that I could translate and communicate experiences that really were way beyond my years. There was, I guess, some kind of sensitivity. I don't see that as something that I tried to have. It was it was just the way that I was. And I'm not sure I got any better, by the way. But that's something that I really wanted to talk about in Little Man Tate, which is, you know, I think that the greatest gift that I have been given was not the gift of sort of the intellectual processes, but much more importantly was being able to access a certain side of humanity, of sensitivity, and then be able to talk about it or communicate it.
And also people who have had such an extraordinary exposure young, almost, for lack of a better word, explode when they're later. I mean, they lose, you know, for the same reason.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I always say that there's, if you had like a 2x4 piece of wood, you could either hit somebody over the head with it or you could build a building. It's really up to you to kind of make the choice of what you do with the information. The information is always good. It's just a question of what you do with that information. Yeah. And, you know, being a young filmmaker, we've talked about this with Mathieu, you know, all the old filmmakers were young filmmakers once too. It's just that I think we're ready for some newer blood. I feel strange because I'm considered a young filmmaker, but I've been working for 30 years. So there's a side of me that does really want to talk in a contemporary, very messy, chaotic way about younger issues. But there's a side of me that's really an old fogey in terms of my tastes, you know, and the technique that I've learned over the years.
But it's also partly, I think, a product of what we talked about earlier. This early experiences you had gave you an instinct for command and for understanding power.
Yeah, well, I guess.
I mean,
my friends say, you know,
well, you just said, you know how early on, talking about what you could do here, you knew how to use and understand the power you have in Hollywood. You understand the deal you made with Polygram. I mean, you have more control over your life than most people in your business.
Yeah, and I have this, well, I have a feeling about that, which is, you know, the most important part of power and the most important part of control is to learn how to be honorable and to how to use that in a responsible way, in a generous way, to use it to give other people freedom, to use it like a good parent. You know, one of the reasons why I'm in the position I am with Polygram is that they know me. And they know when I say I'm going to be there at 8 o'clock, I'll be there at 8 o'clock. And when I say, no, I'm not going to spend that, I'm going to spend this, that's what I do. That there's a sort of code between us. That's a very difficult position to get into in Hollywood, where I think where people sort of trust your influences and trust where you're headed. And I think that that's probably the most important part of the command and power that I might have.
I don't want to flatter you too much, but I mean, it is the it is the notion that you seem to have used the power that you have, in a sense, to make, saying, the deal with Polygram. Right. What it has given you is not all of sort of the luxuries that are available to you. It's given you the power to do what you want to do, because what brings the greatest psychic income is the capacity to make the work that you want to do.
Yeah, I've made a lot less money than anybody else I know that's been in the same position, and it's really been because I feel like it was a fair trade. I really wanted to make, I only wanted to make the movies I wanted to make. I only wanted to be in love with the films that I made, to be moved by them, even if I made huge errors, big mistakes. Maybe the film didn't work, but I just wanted to go in believing somehow in this silly, optimistic, Cabaret-esque way that I was going to make a difference. And that to me is the old voice in my head, the silly, foolish voice that says, no, but wait, maybe you'll change something, you know. And to me, that's worth all the compromises.
Do you feel any sense of sexism or anything else that somehow that what you can command is less than what?
Oh, you mean financial stuff?
That
stuff I find fairly trivial, considering the other issues that sort of loom in our culture. Really, I mean, there is certainly sexism in America, and it is it's permeated our culture. It's a part of it. But, you know, things are getting better. And I definitely, the film business of all of the corporate structures in America is getting better and better and better. The one last bastion that really is very sad is our directors. There are just so few women directors.
But why is that?
Well, my feeling about it is that it's not because people don't want women directors or that they don't want the idea of having women directors. What they're uncomfortable with is the not, well, let's say, for example, if you're a director, you walk into a room with a producer and the producer's sitting there, and basically his job is to say, I like your face, you are my brother, I see likeness in us, here's $3 million, I have no idea what you're going to make. And in order to be in a position where somebody feels that you're their brother and that they're going to entrust this pure relationship to you, women don't find themselves in that position very often, not as first-time filmmakers. And that is the first-time movie. It's getting in the door. It's getting given the material that's prime material that women don't get to do.
That, too, will change as more and more women occupy the positions of power as head of production and those kinds of jobs where they are, you know, have the capacity to say, sister, let's do this. Yeah. What do you hope viewers come away, American viewers, come away from Hate with? What experience, what sense, other than what Jodie said so well, identifying with the lives, the emotions, the feelings of these three people?
Maybe if it can help some American audience to, you know, to put put friends somewhere, you know, so that it can exist, that they can understand that outside of the United States, things exist. There are people living, and we got different problems, but we got problems too. If it can help that way, that will be great.
What's your next project?
Next project, I'm doing a film about the medias.
About the media?
Exactly.
The French media?
Medias. Medias is worldwide now. So.
Oh, really? I mean, about news
TVs,
and about
TVs and the influence of TVs on TV on young, you know, kids, and the bad things that TV can do.
Jodie, thank you very much. Great to see you again.
Cheers.
I've been saying Matthew, and it's Mathieu?
Mathieu.
Mathieu. All right. Mathieu Kassovitz. The film in French, La Haine.
La Haine.
La Haine. And in English, Hate. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time. See you then.